What if the thing holding you back isn't your effort, but your thinking? Guys, in high school, I was a terrible student. I mean, real talk, I was a terrible student. I wasn't a bad kid, but I was a terrible student. This is gonna be embarrassing to say, but I graduated high school as my videographer is smiling, laughing at me. I graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA. 1.9 GPA. I somehow graduated. Honestly, I think my principal just was like, felt bad for me and was like, you know what, Brandon, we're just gonna pass you. I I had my grades were just good enough so I could be eligible to play basketball that season. So basketball was in the winter season. So that meant in the fall, my grades had to be good enough for me to be able to play in the winter. So I had to have at least a C average, which I maintained during the season. And that was the extent of me taking school seriously. It was get good enough grades so you can play ball. Literally, that was it. My first semester in college, I didn't do well either. And it's because I hadn't yet learned to enjoy learning. I hadn't yet learned to enjoy learning. And honestly, it wasn't until I'm at the public library in my town and I was doing some homework. And I asked the librarian, I would see her all the time. Very nice lady. And I straight up just, she asked me, like, how are you doing? How was your first semester in school? And I told her it went really bad. I was like, honestly, it was almost as bad as my senior year of high school a few months ago. And she was like, that's interesting. And she started asking me questions. And so I asked her a question. I was like, how can I get better at learning? Because honestly, I think I'm just not, school is just not for me. I just don't think I'm cut out for this learning, reading, school stuff. And then she said to me words that I haven't forgotten. And she said that one of the major factors that changed her life was reading books. And that's what she suggested that I do. She said, Brandon, this older lady, super sweet. She was like 4'11, super nice lady. But she goes, Brandon, she puts her hand on my shoulder and she says, Brandon, I suggest that you take up reading. And and so I did. And that's where I started to see differences in my life. In fact, guys, I went from a 1.9 GPA in high school, 2.1 GPA my first semester in college, and then the rest of my years in college, I was on the dean's list. Now, I attribute a lot of that to the benefits that I've received from reading, becoming a reader, and not just becoming a reader, but enjoying to learn. And I have many friends who, when I ask, well, first of all, I have many friends who love to read or listen to podcasts and audiobooks. And it's important to surround yourself with people who are like minded and push you to be the best version of yourself. But we'll save that for another episode. But I have friends sometimes that I'll ask, hey, what books are you reading? Or are you a reader? When I'll ask someone new, do you enjoy reading? And oftentimes they'll say, nah, like reading's not for me. It's not my thing. I can't focus. Valid. I understand. No problem. And so when preparing for this message though, or for this podcast, I wanted to do a little bit of research. I wanted to see, well, what percentage of people are actually reading? And I want to share that with you. I think it's important to kind of know a little bit of the stats. So there was a study from Emory University, and they found that only 31% of Americans read one book a year. So only 31% are reading one book a year, which is crazy. And then I was like, okay, so if we're just reading one book a year, cool. But what are the benefits of reading? Like, what's the social studies or the studies that have been out there that explain the benefits of reading? Because I've experienced so many good things from reading. So I wanted to see what the studies are showing. One of which is just 6 minutes of reading a book can reduce your stress by 68%. Within just 6 minutes of reading, the participants, their heart rate went down, slowed down, and their blood pressure went down. And this is a really cool one. Reading strengthens your brain and activates areas of your brain that we don't typically use. It develops new neural pathways, which helps you learn, unlearn. There's another term for this. It's called neuroplasticity, which is just your ability to learn and unlearn things, which that's kind of, it was a major breakthrough in science because in the past, many people thought that your mind is fixed, right? That it can't be changed. And so it's really cool that with this research, we can learn and unlearn things. And so those are just benefits from reading, just reading a book or reading a few pages that can have the benefits that it can have for you. So I was thinking, right? I'm like, what exactly do I want to share with the listeners? And how has reading changed my life? And what are some of the takeaways for you? The first thing that reading did for me, and I believe it can do for you, is it changed how I thought, or it changed how I think before it changed what I do. So it changed how I think before it changed what I do. And books didn't like instantly change my habits. They didn't, but they changed my thinking first. So they didn't change my habits right away, but they changed the way I think. I remember at times when I was younger, I would have kind of a fixed mindset. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just not a good student. And then I started reading more and I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. I actually enjoy learning about or reading history or leadership or business. And so it changed the way I thought before it changed my habits. And then another thing is reading replaced mindless input with intentional input. So another way that you can put it is it changed me just wanting to scroll on social media, and it changed it to me being intentional about the content that I was consuming, because I truly believe this. I heard this quote, I forget who it's from, but what you consume, you create, or what you consume, you become. And I definitely believe that. I mean, just think about it. Every day we're bombarded with ads and marketing. And if you turn on the news, it's all negative stuff, right? And all this junk is getting into our mind. So that's why it's important for us to become intentional with what we consume. And that's where reading really made a difference for me, is I'm intentional about what I'm reading and what I'm consuming in hopes that it'll benefit me and help me to be the better version of myself so that I can serve others and be a better husband, better brother, better friend, better mentor. So it replaced mindless input with intentional input. The third and final thing, and I'm curious if some of you guys can relate to this, but reading gave me language for what I was feeling. Like reading gave me language for what I was feeling. Remember, uh, I grew up in a couple places, but I grew up in the inner city for a number of years, and I experienced a lot of different things that were tough, right? But they helped shape me into the man that I am today. And I didn't have language for some of the things that I was experiencing. I felt frustration. I felt some bitterness, some anger for some of the things that I saw and was exposed to as as a young person. And reading and learning gave me language for what exactly it was that I was feeling, right? I would feel anger, but it might have not necessarily have been anger. It could have just been frustration or sadness, but it manifested as anger. And so books it gave me three things. It gave me words for emotions, frameworks for confusion, and clarity for internal struggles. So books gave me, in reading, picking up the habit of reading, gave me words for emotions, frameworks for confusion, and clarity for internal struggles. And so my challenge to you is only 31% of Americans are reading one book a year. I'm challenging you to pick up a book, whether it's an audiobook or a physical book. Pick up a book, because I truly believe it'll be able to change your life the way it changed mine. And I credit the habit of reading to helping me be the man that I am today. I believe that reading and enjoying to learn can help you go further and farther, can help you go further in your life, because it has for me. And so, again, take up that challenge. Pick up a book, pick up an audio book, and I think you'll see the benefits from it. Again, it might not change your habits immediately, but it'll change the way you think. It'll improve your vocabulary, your communication skills. And those are the benefits that reading has done for me. And so this is how reading has changed my life. And I'm sure that it can also change yours if you pick up the habit of reading. With that being said, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. This was just a little sneak peek or a quick conversation on how reading has changed my life. And so I'm praying that you pick up reading and that it'll change yours. Peace.